So when I moved out here to Phoenix, I created IMOP, the Internet Marketers of Phoenix, with some really good people in it. Brian LaFrance, Joe Sinkowitz, Mike Roberts. It's a cool group. We try to get together like every once or twice, like every 1 or 2 months, grab cocktails and just hang out. So it's
good stuff. I keep missing you when I get to Phoenix, but I'll figure it out one of these days.
Exactly.
I hardly know any.
All that matters is I've got really good access to Brian LaFrance's brisket.
There you go.
Yep, that's my number one priority. Well, number two.
I think he could make more money. He can make more money as a barbecue guy than he does as an SEO guy, and he does pretty well with that.
I don't know. He's pretty genius SEO.
Yeah.
In case he's watching. I'm just kidding. He stopped sending me barbecue because it's not as cost effective with the shipping. But I get out to Phoenix a couple times a year. So.
Are we live yet, Dave? Well, I guess.
Yeah. But I'm just putting links. I'm just putting links out, so there's not much point.
Okay.
No one's paying attention.
You're kind of purple, Dave.
Yeah, I know, dude. Fuck you.
That wasn't a ding. I'd like to be purple.
Well, no, it was all working fine. I bought a new camera because the boys were busting my nuts about a couple weeks ago. So I went out and bought Doc. I did go out and get the 920.
Good deal.
Logitech, so I went out and got it, but it was working fine for recording last week's show. But some reason today everything's fucking bluey purple, so I don't fucking know.
What's it got to do with your lighting?
Yes, I know that. Thank you. But no, but again, like the lighting, it was the same actual lighting was working fine last week, so I don't know what's going on today. I keep adjusting it in OBS, but it's just not getting anywhere.
You're easy to find in the when you look up and figure out who's on which screen. I'm like, oh, there's Dave. There's Dave.
There, how about
you're purple free.
It's okay. No one's here for me, right? So how's that?
I've got a question.
Uh-oh.
If you put an iframe onto a page, there's, apart from the fact that the page that you're iframing, if it has a link to your website, will pass an influence. I'm seeing people talking about how iframes in and of themselves add a little to the page authority, and I don't understand how that's even possible.
What?
No.
I don't think it is. Yeah, I think it was SEO Signals you posted that, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
don't buy that.
It's a
I
window
remember when
into
Google
something
treated
else.
them as two different pages.
I don't see value.
It's just an iframe.
Right.
Yeah, like I see what people are trying to say. Like I
the
basically
page, you're capturing the other page.
Right. So what I think they're saying is because it's a secondary page being pulled in, does it actually pass equity because of that? I'm not sure if I buy into that.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
No, neither do I.
It didn't on frame
only thing I could,
so I don't see it working with this.
I could see it helping the page that you iframed, but not the page that you are. Like, not.
I mean, if the page, if that page that you're pulling in has a link to you, then it would have, some passing, but it wouldn't matter whether you iframed it or not. The fact that that page has a link to you is what's passing the influence.
Exactly.
So every now and again, because I'm not doing as much reading.
The page that you are.
I don't do as much reading as I used to. So it gets, something comes along and it's completely, how is that even possible? But I second guess myself because I haven't been keeping up with the little things that have been changing within the industry day to day like I used to.
Which is interesting because that's what I was wondering when I saw you put that question up the other day. I was like, what the hell is Frank asking this for? Like, that group is full of a bunch of noobs and idiots, right? So, okay.
That's always fun.
I kind of hang around that group just to make fun of people and stuff.
That's what I mean. You ask them a question like that just to see what they'll say.
Well, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But wouldn't it work like
everyone here?
Wouldn't it work like the old frame sets? They were actually, if you had 3 frames and they all had 3 different pages, and it'd be 3 different pages that Google saw there.
But I figured that's just the way it still is. There's 3 different windows that aren't your site.
Right.
Does Google actually
But do they
see,
count it as content
I mean,
on that page that those embeds are in?
Yeah. I mean, you'd get the impact of the the actual browser, like you wouldn't get a bounce rate unless someone came in, loaded all 3 pages, and then clicked and closed. So all those pages would have engaged with the iframe. That's the other thing. If you engage with the iframe, how is that looked at? If you engaged with all of the iframed page itself, and then you'd leave that page, are you adding to that page's bounce rate, but it lowering the bounce rate of the iframed pages?
No, I would doubt that. I would.
No, it'd have a different analytics in it for one thing.
Right.
Right. As soon as you interact with the iframe,
it's loading the iframe, probably not the analytics. You know what I mean? So yeah, I doubt that.
Right. As soon as you interact with the iframe, you've left your page.
Oh, really?
Well, that's what I would assume, that you've effectively clicked off the page because you're in the iframe.
Okay, but let's say Kevin, assuming that what's being pulled from the iframe and your page have a tag manager in it, so to speak, which one do you think would register if you're clicking through the iframe? That's what
I thought they both would. You would get it. It depends. Like if A has the iframe of B, I think A's analytics would show you as clicking away, and B's would show you as coming from A.
I feel a test in order here, boys.
Yeah, no, exactly. The page is still there. You're not closing the page when you click into an iframe.
Right, no, I know. I can look into that in the next couple of weeks, because I've got quite a few with car dealers iframe hell. So I'll see the ones that I have access. If I have access to B, which is the iframe, I'll see if I can run some sort of.
Yeah, I'd be curious about that. You know what I mean? Like,
also see if the text in that iframe counts as part of the page that it's in.
It usually does.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, no, but if you're saying like do a cite command and then quote the text. Last time I checked, it does.
Oh, you've checked and it does?
Well, a couple years ago, but last time I checked, it registers as part of that page.
Okay.
That would be curious, because then oftentimes the reason for the iframe is that you don't have control of B. And it's curious because if Terry has control of B and I run A and Terry changes stuff in B, it would be odd that it would affect me negative, like if I was counting on you having the content in that iframe and then suddenly it didn't exist. That's curious.
Right. When iframe first came out, I used to put disclaimers and stuff like that in the iframe because I thought that it wouldn't count as content for the page that it was on. And I'm pretty sure back then it didn't.
Yeah, and I think on a couple of ours, since our iframes have a lot to do with credit oftentimes, putting you into a credit app situation or into a bank, we put that on there just from a CYA standpoint, to be like, by the way, if you drop off in here, it's not us. We don't have anything to do with this.
Yeah, in 2004, when I was working the Forex space, we had the sign up for the demo account as an iframe, but we could pass the parameters. We coordinated to have the parameters from the landing page passed in through the iframe. We had really good programmers because I don't quite now understand how it was done.
It's easy. I've done that with applications for a real estate company.
Use PHP, you can do it with a session variable.
Yeah.
Well, you could do it with ASP.
I haven't done any programming in forever, so.
Did it for Perl and probably can do it with PHP.
PHP now is amazing what you can get away with.
Yeah, I usually lean toward, as we're talking about iframes, anyone paying attention, don't do things in iframes. It's not a good idea. No, I'm just kidding. I've been trying to get car dealers away from iframes for so darn long that it's just.
I'm now working at Master Electronics, and we've got 9 million product pages. And what we're doing is we've got data sheets on a lot of the different components. So we're iframing those in because some of them we have, but the vast majority of them are from the actual supplier that we,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense because you're not
Yeah.
going to recreate that content, and it doesn't make any sense to keep it on your site if they update
All
their
right,
specs.
no, wait. Steve's got to be in his bonnet. There we go.
Yeah. Hey, Frank.
Yeah.
Do you have those in PDFs?
Yeah.
Optimize the PDF itself, attach it to the listing for the product, and the PDF will rank whenever somebody searches for the product.
Yep.
And it'll link to your website, which then brings your product listing.
Yeah, but the problem there is there's 9 million of these things. If I was doing a few hundred or even 1,000, that's fine. We've got to make it, sort of.
It's got to be scalable.
Yeah, that's going to be top heavy.
You'd have to scale the PDF first.
Yeah, and I mean,
scale that.
They come from different places. So, I mean, we've got like about 400 suppliers with thousands of, so it's just a nightmare to try.
That would be.
We have direct access.
Then pick 100 products where you have a really, really good profit margin and do
that gets difficult because, I mean, I'm sitting in on the marketing, the SEO, etc., and the programmers that create the website are actually in Jordan. And the whole thing is, it's literally a dynamically generated website. So it's hard to be able to, even to do standalone stuff. I have to create a separate, I couldn't even get a WordPress blog worked in to the navigation. They were just like, no.
Not happening.
Yeah, try putting FAQ schema in an SPA. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
a JavaScript single page application. Try putting FAQ schema in there. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten them to do schema. They're working that out. I spend quite a bit of time, engaging with them and showing them things, and they're slowly, but again, everything's done in sprints. Trying to get my stuff onto the list of sprints of everything because we're adding thousands of new products every week, etc. It's fun, and I mean, it's definitely a challenge. It's different than anything else that I've done before, and I've worked in the auto space with Auto Trader with big inventory, the Forex space with that dynamically changing price structures and things. So this one's.
I'm about to do a bunch of Forex stuff in Google My Business.
There you go.
So because like the services, the new services section that you have on Google My Business, we're going to put like each currency that each location, which sometimes it's the same, but sometimes it's different. So each currency for each location, there's currency exchange is an actual, what is it, ICD-9 code or whatever.
Now, are you talking actual currency conversion or are you talking about currency trading?
I'm talking about currency conversion.
Oh, okay. So like TravelX, etc.
Yeah, Forex, exactly. Yeah. Foreign exchange. So currency exchange, but how do I find the place nearest me that will do pesos for Deutschmarks, etc.? You know what I mean? That kind of shit. So
yeah, you've got the pairs on that are just unlimited. I mean, literally.
Just to jump in for 2 seconds, Kevin, you're not much of a Twitter guy.
What?
You're not much of a Twitter guy.
He has Twitter.
I use Twitter.
He has Twitter. Okay. Question being that in the comments on YouTube right now, Jeannie Hill is kind of apparently trying to track you down.
Oh.
And she was talking about finding you on Twitter. I told her to go to Facebook because that tends to be where you are.
But it's also Kevin. It's just my name. Kevin Dory is my Twitter handle.
Yeah.
It used to be something else.
And Jeannie, since you're listening, we're kind of search people, so I'm pretty sure if you put Kevin Dury and Twitter into Google, you might find him. Just gonna put that out there.
Yep, 2 O's, not like the fish, not the movie.
Whatever town, Jeannie, whatever town you live in, find the best happy hour bar, sit there, and sooner or later Kevin will show up.
It's not. That's a bad. It's difficult. Yeah, there I am. There I am. That's me.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, here we go.
That's great.
Google is your friend. There you go.
Right? Come on now. So, yeah. Anyways.
But yes. No, I am on Twitter, and I usually tweet about hockey things and the occasional SEO conference. So,
Well, I mean,
exactly. I get scores in your Facebook feed. That's all I do is get hockey scores.
no Facebook, no Facebook, no Facebook.
yeah. But Steve, how many? Plunkett, do you see any? There was reports that people were getting mass banned in Google My Business.
Yeah, because you're spamming shit and you're not a verified business.
Dude,
If you're
listen.
a verified business, there's no problem.
And it's been out of hand, literally. Like, there's this show in Canada called Marketplace, right? And so they started off with this show about how locksmiths charge too much, but it turned into something totally different. Because what they started doing was, no matter what company you called off of Google, it was all ending up with the same company. So they started going to the addresses, and they were like parking lots and empty lots and this and that. And so it turned into this whole Google My Business spam crap. Interesting enough, they ended up interviewing Mike Blumenthal by the end of the piece.
Yeah.
And literally, it was like this one company had got their SEO company had figured this out so well that they were like, they had at least 20 different listings and different companies, but all the leads would lead back to the same people.
Okay, yeah.
So
the way that I had read it was that it had something to do with if you had the same manager on multiple accounts, and I was like, well, it can't be that because
no, it's literally
I'm the manager on 35 accounts because that's the way we do it.
People that have caught on to this, they create like 45, 50 different listings that all the leads go back to the same company, and they're like empty lots and all this other shit. Like I said, it was like Tanya and I were watching, like, oh, and then all of a sudden it turned into SEO, and I was like, well, this is interesting. Next thing I know, there's Mike Blumenthal. I'm like, this is great.
Well, they don't have a phone number at the empty lot to verify the listing, or they're not going through.
Or they can't mail a postcard there.
Right, exactly.
Well, that was actually a scam. That there was a company.
Believe me, they were all
the phone calls and emails went to one
That's
company.
the kind of stuff they were cleaning up the other day for sure.
And that if it was locksmiths, the company actually had to be in Israel. They're huge. They seem to own the locksmith listings in the United States, and they're in Israel because I know from New York I did some work with people, and that's where it was all coming from. They were buying.
Well, it's like GMB turned into the new affiliate spam. you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, the crap on the map we all know about. It's just...
Well, but realize for anybody that has a brick and mortar business, you know what I mean? And even if you still have an online component, website could average 50,000 views a month, but Google My Business could be 7 to 8 million a month for the same company with the same locations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
and that's why,
not
like,
clicks. Because it shows up in the pack and it just keeps going.
The click rate I found from Google Business is abysmal.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
See,
no, exactly. I have. Actually,
I think it depends on the. I don't, Terry. I disagree.
Yeah.
Only it depends on the industry. Like I've got a lot of success. I'm running a couple things with putting products under dealers and getting click through from that standpoint.
Have you used video on the post yet for conversion?
No, only because I can't scale that. Because I don't do the video. I got to rely on the dealer. So it's an insane.
Well, the thing is you could get pictures from the dealers, like get 4 or 5 pictures from the dealers. And I've done this because we did this with the locations. We got 4 or 5 pictures from the locations. We ran a B-roll of branded product stuff. And then we did a voiceover on it. And I did
I've done it for Facebook. I've had success with the Facebook campaigns with that. The only reason I haven't done it for Google My Business is it isn't realistically scalable. The success I've had lately is the product beta turned into the full-on product. It's not beta anymore. And I have a living web page or a living product post that what? Sorry, somebody in my office is talking to me through the window. Hold on. So I have the product listed there, and then that takes them into inventory. But Steve, I might try to take the Facebook ads that we put together, those videos, and roll them into Google My Business.
Well, for example, the video stuff and the photo stuff and your Google posts, you can't do them for multiple locations over 50 right now for Hootsuite. You can do it with Yext. There's one other program that allows you to do that as well. Yext would be the big one for big big money. There's one other company that can do that to where you can do the multiple posts. One
Buffer?
post and scale it out. What?
Is it Buffer?
No, I had a meeting with them a while back, and I can't remember the damn name for it.
I can't stand Yext.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Yext.
But I'm doing it all. I'm trying to do it not programmatically. Like the thing that I'm waiting for is I need the API. I think we all need the API for GMB.
Well, there's an API.
Well, it's there now. It's out there available.
But no, but not for the products. Not for once they make the products, then I can put it in my feed.
Oh, you're talking about products.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm doing it for products, and I'm getting a lot of click through from that. From if you're looking for the dealer, you're looking for the car, you pop up used SUV, the dealer's GMB pops up, and underneath of that, the category that I've created is used SUV, and then that takes you to the dealer's inventory. I've had minor success. I've only been running it for a couple months, but I've had minor success with it. To get the original point was, Terry, that I agree with you, the click-through rate is not great, but in the right region for the right vertical, I'm having more success getting a click-through for GMB than I am for the regular SERPs.
Kevin, are you doing any paid search for automotive as well?
Only social. We do limited AdWords, but I don't have the resources or the desire to work 85 hours a week.
Yeah, see, I was going to suggest that you look at, it was called Haystack. Auto Trader bought it. It was a really clever inventory. You'd import your inventory list and it would create the ads. It would pause the inventory that you don't have, activate the new inventory that you do have at the start of every day. It was a clever little widget to work paid search, where the make, model, etc. were all of things that it looked at in the inventory that you have on the lot.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I have mixed feelings about Facebook advertising, but their catalog search or their catalog advertising is that, and it's very effective for us because it takes a feed that we particularly generate every 4 hours, so you don't run the risk of posting. You don't run the risk of posting a vehicle that doesn't exist, and as soon as our dealers sell it, it comes out of that feed. But so that's been successful. I've got clicks down on ads to like 14 and 15 cents.
Damn. In automotive, that's really good.
Yeah, so it's just getting dealers to understand that you've got to be. Well, it's like everybody. You've got to be where your product is.
All right, what are you up to, Steve?
You see what I'm talking about? The product stuff?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I'm showing screens of product stuff. I've got to cut out the business name because I don't want to really show the client, but I'm showing the screen of what we're actually talking about.
Oh, yes.
Oh, look at you. You're my production assistant. I love it.
Yeah, that's good job, Steve. You're hired.
Buddy. You're hired, bro.
Pay's not good, but you're hired.
There's so many things and realize, and I'm just saying this from my perspective, Google My Business has been my SEO for the last year. If I have 8 million customers a month coming to my Google business and viewing that in search versus I'm only getting 50,000 views on the webpage a month, that's huge. That's a big difference. People aren't coming to my webpage to find my business information. They're going to Google My Business. So I've been doing very seriously focused SEO using Google My Business, using reviews. I haven't done messaging yet because I don't want to, but how do I do photos? How do I do products? How do I do services? You can now create your own services in Google My Business, which I'm going to.
This is for brick and mortar, right? So you've got the ability,
Well,
they do a search and then they click on the map related part of the Google My Business, and that's why and then they're,
Well, but the other part is, and I can't really show. Yeah,
but I can't give you screenshots because I don't have the time to edit out the client.
Yeah, me too here, because there's all kinds
I'm helping the woman that runs the Google My Business stuff for U-Haul. Talk about, there's another one that's, 2,000
that's huge for boxes. For boxes, how you can rent. You can rent a dolly on Google My Business. You can rent a trailer through Google My Business. This is a standardized rate. You should be able to do should be able to do everything through Google My Business without just go to the store to pick up the unit. That's it.
The only problem I have with it is
exactly, and that's
like the fact that these features seem to come and go. That's my only issue with Google My Business, is that I get it. Like I literally have, let's say I have 150 dealers that I'm doing SEO for.
Right.
148 of them have product capability, like the product unlocked. 2 of them don't. Those are the 2 that want it more than anything, and I can't get it created because there's no.
Can you put them under your?
All right. We all know how much I love fucking local. We all know this shit, right? All right, good. Now, moving along, since we.
It's not your show. It's not your show. This is a sponsored show. This is somebody else's
show by Google My Business, apparently. All right, so we're moving along now. Jamie, nice to see you. I've never seen. Is that your natural hair color?
I'm a natural blue.
Oh, you're still blue? Okay, I was going to say it's not as bright as usual.
It's not as bright because the thing they never tell you when you've got neon hair is every bleaching session is a roll of a die. And
my wife is currently blue and purple. She went red for Christmas, but I understand what you're saying. Each round, yeah. All right, so Bill, are you in a place to talk about this yet, or not, or do we have to wait for your post, or where you know where I'm going, right?
The post came out this morning.
Oh, did it? Excellent. All right, can you put a link in the chat, please, sir?
Sure.
All right, so
it's beautiful. Please tell me everything, please.
Okay. Anyways, I've had a bee in my bonnet about the whole EAT thing, and for quite a while now, in our dojo chat groups on Facebook and stuff like that, we've been trying to. And Bill and I privately been trying to figure out, like, algorithmically, everyone's latched on to EAT, and some people are selling it as a service or doing talks and bullshit like that. They're all doing their crap, but algorithmically, it's been great. Oh, somebody's done something here. I don't even know. I'm not looking.
Talking about the representation vectors article, Bill.
Right.
All right, so give us the quick notes here, dude. So you were telling me earlier this week, yeah, okay. I don't like that smile, Bill. Okay, so what did you find that might be related or whatever? Because obviously then Danny came out the other day and said, well, no, it's kind of, it's more of a Raiders Guide thing. It's not something we do algorithmically, which kind of goes back to like the sandbox. There is no sandbox. We have a collection of things that might show that appearance. Either way,
Danny responded to somebody stating that Bruce Clay had said at SMX that Google.
Bruce who?
Bruce Clay had said at SMX.
Who's he? I've never.
Who listens to Bruce
Clay?
Clay?
Not
1997.
All right, shut up. Let Bill go.
So he said that Google uses Better Business Bureau ratings to influence search rankings.
Bullshit.
And that's what Danny said. We don't do that.
So we weren't talking about Google My Business.
So the idea behind this is that Google may classify web pages using neural networks to identify features on those pages, which would allow them to understand what industry the page was from, what level of expertise there might be, whether or not if it's a health site, if it's done by doctors, if it's done by medical students, or if it's done by lay people, which sort of reflects some of the different levels of expertise in the EAT write-up and the Quality Raters Guide. Because they said, in some cases, we want results from lay people. We want experiences with actual medical conditions. So the patent talks about expertise. It talks about authoritativeness from these different sites that are ranked differently. So the idea is that Google may do a search where they match up the query with the knowledge domain from the website. And so that means they don't have to search all the sites on the web. They just have to search a limited range of sites based on that category. And so your sites that are within that category are going to rank based upon how they compare to each other. And
you're saying that the classification is towards the niche and then specific parts of the niche. Like you're saying, if it was medical, you've got doctor, student, nurse type thing.
Right.
And that
Our lay
where is that? I
What
can
do you
understand
need?
it was in like Schema or something where that gave that information over. How are they getting?
It was a Google patent application that came out
In
2
Europe,
weeks ago, a week ago.
in
Oh
Europe,
wow.
was
Okay.
it, did they apply in the States or just Europe?
The patent
You were
application,
telling me it was just Europe, so
the patent application was filed in France.
yeah, okay.
So it likely will apply to global.
So again, like in a shorter form, how are they dealing with the expertise then? Like I can get the authority part, sure, links, whatever, trust I can get, but the expertise part always kind of busted my nuts. So
Well, they're looking at features dealing with, say, text,
Yeah.
with images, with links on pages. And these are things that give them some idea of who created the site, who the authors are, who the industry is. Those are things that matter to this classification system.
all right, so just like the reasonable surfer, next week at the next SMX or whatever, someone's going to go on and tell them how to create personas and how to spam expertise. Yeah, okay, all right.
There you go.
Oh,
Where's Ralph Tegmeister when you need him?
it's
Oh,
He's everywhere. Quiet. Don't say that, bro. He's everywhere.
It's going to be somebody with some level of expertise in neural networks. So do we have many people in the SEO community with that?
Most don't know what it is.
Hey, I built some janky stuff with the Word2Vec and GenSim.
Oh, explain janky Word2Vec. I want to hear this.
Janky Word2Vec is when you really don't know Python, but you're going to learn boots on the ground and figure it out.
So Word2Vec neural network is very limited.
Yes.
Well, that's kind of why they went to Doc2Vec, and there's a handful of flavors of that.
It's like 2 levels deep.
Absolutely.
They registered
I'm
that in
not saying
France.
I'm an expert. I'm saying that's my bar.
Like, because as you and I were talking this week, Bill, and that's why I started putting together the different playlists for, the Word2Vec, the neural networks and stuff. It was quite interesting that so many of the different things I was going through as far as the Word2Vec and Doc2Vec and what have you, we're actually mentioning LDA and stuff. So it gives me a sense it's somewhat more of a simplistic approach, dude. Like, that's why I think the neural networks that you and I have been looking at, it seems a little more on point,
Yeah, one of the complaints I heard was that in Word2Vec, it's looking for associations between words. And so sometimes some words show up together that in a relatively frequent amount, but they don't actually have a meaningful connection.
Yeah, right.
The word amazing and Spider-Man tend to show
I think
up.
it's limited, right?
Mhm.
It seems limited. Like I said, like LDA was mentioned quite a few times in the different, seminars and whatever I was looking into. So
What's LDA?
well, it depends.
Latent
Bill and I were kind of messing with LSD and LDA the other day. So, that's a little different, but
oh wait,
You know the new MDMA update?
again.
that's just a semantic approach. Terry's sort of a couple steps up from LSI and shit. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, gotcha.
Are we talking about LSI again, Dave?
no, we're not.
LDA was a product of masturbation.
That was anyways.
I like that.
But yeah, anyways, Bill. So yeah, we got into the vector thing a few weeks ago and everything else. And so I kind of was digging into that you and I started talking about the neural networks and stuff. And there's quite a big leap and a big difference in between the two, like.
Are they registering the patent in France to make it sort of cleaner with the EU?
Not necessarily. They protect their intellectual property wherever they can.
Okay. Yeah,
it just means that one probably got, that application probably just got published first, meaning that the other ones will come as time goes on in the next few weeks. So
Could it be that's where the inventor is from too, Bill? And
sometimes
Frenchmen don't really like to, give credit
There's a lot of inventions in Google coming out from Israel, for instance.
Right.
I don't know it's related, Terry, but there was a study about 3 years ago that Google did on web spam, and France came up as number 1. So
there are a lot coming out of Switzerland too. So
the guy who did the patent is from Boston.
Okay.
So if that answers your question.
Well, what team does he work on? Bill, did you
He
dig
has
into
a
much?
really strange spelling to his last name. It ends with 2 Y's.
Wow.
Did you check out what teams he works on? Or?
He worked in machine learning at Google.
He's a software engineer at Google.
Oh,
But he's not part of the Google Brain team or anything like that.
No.
They probably have hundreds of guys doing machine learning there.
They have special classes in Words of Ec where they're like training everybody. They had like 1,000 people going through one session that Jeff Dean was supervising.
Yeah, the question
Trying to catch everybody up.
dividing them up. Are they still keeping the people that work on the algorithm in little different niches so that no one knows the entire thing? That used to be the way it was years ago.
I think there's so much going on that it would be pretty much difficult for any one person to know almost everything else. There may be Jeff Dean. And then Jeff Dean, it wouldn't surprise me if he knew everything.
Yeah, like again, like Frank, when I used to know Matt and stuff, like I'd ask him a question, he would literally over email, he'd be like, "I don't know, let me go check." Like,
yeah,
and
no, exactly.
That's employees. Like very few of them know the entire puzzle, right? So,
yeah, I'd spent time in the Google office in New York for happy hours on Thursdays. They used to do it, and the engineers literally would start talking, and the other engineers would go, "Oh, that's what you're working on," type thing. So they literally, they elemented it. They separated into, various aspects of the
compartmentalized. Oh, look at us go, bro. See, we're brothers from another mother. Anyways, if you really want to know, there's actually only one person in the world that knows how this all works, and his name is Neil Patel. So go ask him.
I don't know. Hey, I remember Neil back.
Wait, we have a link for you. Before you remember Neil, please click this link, and then you can
Pop
go
up.
No, I'm not interested in learning how to get more website traffic to my webpage.
He must be doing something right. Everyone doesn't like him.
What?
Yeah, because he takes everybody else's stuff.
It's pretty easy to dislike someone when they take someone else's very hard work, spin it slightly, and then use like a porn star on the homepage for some reason.
I just haven't figured out why him and Matt Diggity haven't started a site together. So
Okay.
What's a Mac Diggity?
You don't want to know.
Okay.
What's his site? I don't even know. We're not promoting him. Fuck it.
Yeah, we're doing a good job of promoting those who we're not promoting.
I think that's how he's so popular, though. Like, I know I've definitely shared some of those modals on Twitter where it's like, no, I don't want to learn, and I hate kittens, and I eat puppies, and I'm a terrible human being. Bye. Like, to get out of that nonsense.
You can't hate kittens. Google will get you.
Hey.
Well, maybe not now that Matt Cutts is left. I mean, Matt used to be the protector of cats.
Dude, I'm not kidding you. He was hugely into that, dude.
No, I know.
So we're talking one day over email and stuff. Like I said, him and I used to do information retrieval. We didn't talk about SEO or whatever. And his wife, his sister had a baby, right? So his wife went a couple states over to visit her, and So I said, Matt, man, you're gonna have a baby soon. Like once your wife starts getting around a baby, you're in trouble. And that's literally what he said to me. He's like, no, cats. I just love cats. I don't want kids, just cats. That's it. I was like, yeah, oh yeah, man, the cats thing. He's huge on that.
Exactly. I mean, when I remember there was like a moratorium for at least a week or two when one of his cats passed away. It was like, you'd think it was a presidential funeral.
It was huge. All right, so what else this week, folks? Well, Search Console added stuff. I don't know. They keep doing that. I'm happy.
Yeah, it's different for different websites. Like if you've got, like I got one client that has a Shopify for their shopping cart and then WordPress for their website. And the metrics on each one of those is completely different in Search Console. Like they won't have certain categories you can do for the Shopify site, but they will run them out on the WordPress site. It's kind of interesting.
I just like, again, like, you know, we all remember 20 years ago and we had nothing to work with. You know what I mean? Like the amount of,
except keywords.
well, yeah, they took those away, but but
Yeah.
but it's nice. Like, I don't get it, man. Like, and again, kind of back to the eat thing. It's just amazing to me how much everyone drinks the Google Kool-Aid these days, and no one tests anything, and no one thinks critically, and no one's outside the box. And it's just bizarre to me that you got, you know, 10 years and less SEOs that don't remember those days when we had to figure it out for ourselves, you know.
Honestly,
That's our advantage.
I usually, honestly, I really don't read stuff for SEO anymore. When I see like multiple image posts on Google My Business, I've had that for 3 or 4 weeks. So at this point, okay, cool, they're doing an article on it. You know, a lot of this stuff that happens, you know, the whole algo chasing stuff, I never do it anyways. Link building, I never did that anyways. So it's one of those things of, I'm seeing what people talking about on blogs and in SEO 4 to 5 weeks after I've already figured it out. You know, oh, our Twitter account's doing a little bit more conversion. Oh, well, Twitter decided to not no follow their links anymore. Oh, that's why the Twitter thing's pushing out. You know, because Google wants to spider Twitter more, so they made an agreement in the background, which is why when I put in Kevin Dury's Twitter shows up first. You know what I mean? Those kind of things. So yeah, I guess as a new SEO, you got to figure this out some way. But as an old school SEO, you do what's worked over the last 25 years and you keep doing it.
I don't know if it's that new SEO thing. I think over the years, dude, like, again, there's been lots of people come and go. I mean, there's not so many that have stood the test of time, been at, you know, I'm 21 years in, Terry's even longer. Most of the guys in here actually been at it longer than me. And I don't know. I think there's always been that classification of people that would just eat what's out there and suck up what's been written to go on and sell their services. I think the people that last the test of time are those that have critical thinking. Those of us that don't, you know, we don't believe it unless we see it. And even when we see it, we don't believe it. We're going to test this, keep pushing this boundary and see what we come out of it with, you know?
What was the thing the other day? Putting keywords in your Google My Business description won't help you rank or something like that.
And then Darren Shaw went along and found something else and went, well, I'm not so sure about that.
Well, but if I put the street name and the mall name and, you know, close to this bank at this intersection in my description for Google My Business, that stuff makes me pull up first in MatPack. So I'm going to call bullshit. You need to don't keyword stuff your damn.
Right. Yeah. That's what Darren Shaw was saying. That he had tested it and it was totally opposite than the advice Google was.
Yeah, you think about
that critical thinking. Where's that critical thinking?
Right. I think
that's always been the way, though. I think there's always been an element of our industry that just eats up anything that fucking Moz would say or whoever would say, and they just eat it up and move forward, as opposed to critically thinking and going out and saying, well, that's interesting. Let me go test that. Let me go see how it works. You know?
Right. You learn. I agree with both of you. I don't think it's old SEO and new SEO. I think there's people that do their job and then people that question what they see. If you question what you see, then you're constantly trying to learn. Like I learned from Jamie when I heard her speak at Tech SEO Boost 2 years ago. And it was like, oh, I never knew that because now I'm learning something else. You can listen to somebody or you can read an article and go, I might not agree with this, but I question it. Let me go figure it out on my own. And I think a lot of people in our industry don't do that. And I don't blame them. If you don't need to do that and you can do your job, and that's okay, let the rest of us investigate and move forward. I don't try to teach everybody to be like me, because frankly, I'd rather there less of us and more of the good ones and less of the bad
and I think to a degree, you know, I mean, something Bill and I have noticed over the years of studying the shit we do is that different query spaces can be different. So what is a good advice in one query space or one market is totally different than what might work in a different other market. And you see that, true. Bill, you know that, you know, we see it in patents and papers and stuff, but I think, again, if people are regurgitating or just taking in whatever they hear out there, again, until you critically think about that and apply it to your certain client in a given market space or query space, you don't know, because different query spaces react differently to different things. You know?
Well, I think query space becomes different because we have mobile devices, we have desktop, we have okay, Google, right? You know what I mean? So we have voice, we have mobile.
Right.
You know,
And I beat the shit out of that stuff, dude. When that started happening 5-6 years ago, I mean, I didn't even own a cell phone, don't care, because when I leave the house, I just trying to get away. But I grabbed my wife's cell phone and started, okay, Google, okay, Google, okay. I mean, I just started beating the crap out of that. And again, a totally different approach, a totally different thing. Like Google Discover now, like you got Google Discover, this surfacing.
Okay, Google, stop.
Ways, you know?
Well, I mean, the other part is for that same query space, why we have voice, why we have mobile, why we have this, realize it's going to be different for restaurants. It's going to be different for auto dealers. It's going to be different for banks. It's going to be different for online shopping in those separate spaces. You know, what about the part where now Google says that I need an app instead of actually doing it through, because the client doesn't have an SPA or a mobile web application. So Google now tells me that I need to go through this and do it on an app. So yeah. Sorry.
Stop
And
saying Google
I think that's
around
funny
your
enough
phone.
that is literally one of the things you don't see talked about enough. That, you know, barefaced SEO advice is one thing, but understanding your query spaces and your market is totally different. That it's going to be unique, it's going to be different, and that you need to have that sort of approach that thinks that way. That okay, this is great. Oh, title tags are, you know what I mean? Like it's so unique to knowing and being intimate. Terry, you gave me that 12 years ago or something. Like Terry used to always, when I met Terry, I was, from the school of Slosky, so I'm like looking at patents and all this shit. I meet Terry and he's like, Dave, start with a SERP and work your way out. I was like, what? No, fuck the SERP. I got this tool and I got this data and I got all these patents and I got all this shit. I don't need that. But then I met Terry and I started now applying my knowledge from the technical side into the SERP out approach. And again, you have a totally different learning. You discover new things,
Well, and you take what you learned, like if you pigeonhole and only do things a certain way in one vertical, what happens when you switch careers? Like a lot of you guys are consultants, or like I'm in automotive. I didn't used to be in automotive, but then I was in automotive. So you bounce back and forth, and you can't rely on bread and butter, because let's say I moved from automotive to e-commerce and all the stuff I was doing in
right? Cookie cutter, right?
Exactly. It doesn't work. And then what do? You walk into a CEO's office and go, yeah, I had the magic sauce, and then I had the magic recipe, and I switched industries, so now I'm screwed. No, you have to be able to learn how to incorporate what you know into a different vertical.
The secret sauce is different for each industry.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you've got it, I mean, the one thing, there are certain industries that I've worked in that I can still go and do a search for and look at the SERP and know, okay, there's been a slight change. I mean, you see certain ones move up and down, not, within the front page, but not significantly. But if all of a sudden,
right, but there's a certain set of younger SEOs or newer SEOs, like I said, which is to me under 10 years, which doesn't sound new. But again, Frank, same thing as Terry taught me. You could look at a SERP and see something. These guys need tools. Yeah. They need some data point. They need something to tell them something's happening. They can't.
Yeah, they need
the wisdom to look at a SERP and go,
weather,
okay, hold on.
All those weather channels that say, it's heating up and blah, blah, blah in the searches. It's like, okay, you can't tell what's happening you can tell that there's movement, but unless you know a niche and can look at a SERP and say, oh, wow, okay, these guys weren't around with this particular type of content. And that's why, that's what's changed. Google's now looking for these elements within a page versus what used to be a week ago.
And I agree.
Yeah, but the SERP out is mainly about searchers, what they're seeing.
Intent.
And their intent,
and
right? That's why. But a lot of people just use tools now, and they don't get that.
But I also agree with what Frank's saying in the sense that we talked about this a couple weeks ago, that I think it was you, Terry, that specialization is becoming more and more important. If it's local or knowing a market or a query space, that becomes so much more important because there's so many more layers to the onion now. You know what I mean? If it's Google Discover or local or whatever. We keep SEO is dead. No, it just got more difficult. So we're handing out applications to McDonald's, go get one.
Well, you can't go put a bunch of links on forums and rank. That's the
Kevin,
big difference.
You know, someone came to me the other day, Kevin, and it's somebody we all know, and he was talking about a new client that was in the used car industry and stuff like that. You know, Terry and I work with Auto Trader and stuff like that in the past, but I also said, listen, if there's someone you want to talk to, it's Kevin Dury. Go talk to this guy. Maybe, you know, I would literally just turn that client around and hand it to you because you are so intimate in that space. You understand that space, what it needs. And I think there's some to it, especially like someone said as a consultant. I've learned over the years now that I'm not as good at specialized things as some people are, because there's people who specialize in stuff. I mean, I'm great at audits, but when it comes to certain markets, you know what I mean? Topher, I guess, he used to be New York Times or whatever. It wasn't Topher Cohen, and Brent D. Payne was Chicago Tribune.
Marshall Simmons was
Marshall
at the
Simmons,
New
okay,
York
yeah.
Times. Topher
So
was
same
at,
kind of idea. Like if I get a
Topher was
media,
at CNN.
yeah, CNN, a big news
So if I get a
channel.
media client, then those are the kind of guys I'll turn to and go talk to. You know what I mean? There is something to be said for guys that specialize in things, or
Yeah,
guys and girls,
it's
ladies and dogs and cats and whatever.
it's also weird because how many times last year, every year that we do this podcast slash hangout, whatever this thing, we've had the conversation of tools. No, we've talked about tools, and it's funny because as SEOs grow, like we all need tools, but we've said this before that the number one tool that you need is this. Like if you can't think, then the tool can tell you, like you can pop everything into a tool. Exactly. I use a lot of tools because I don't like getting data on my own. Like I'd much rather get the data from somebody else.
But directionless data is just directionless, you know?
Exactly. No, agreed. Like I can hand you an atlas, but if you can't use your brain, you can't figure out how to get from point A to point B. Well, that analogy actually made sense.
I play inside of
Well,
Google
no,
Analytics.
even better, Kevin. You could hand me an atlas, but unless I know where to go, I'm just looking at maps.
Yep. Yeah, good. Well,
Or at least I know if I don't know where I want to go or where I'm trying to get.
Yes. So you need to. We all learn from each other. It's just the frustrating. I haven't gotten into the point that you have yet, where it's like I want to teach everybody to do it the right way. I'm like, I can give you tidbits. If you want to ask how I do it, I can tell you this is how I do it, and this is how I learned, and this is who the people I learned from. But I can't get to the point where I can teach people because it frustrates me too much because try to create little me's.
Well, plus there's more than one right way to do some things too.
Exactly. All 5 of us or 8 of us, however many people are in here, could do this. It's the question of ask 5 SEOs a question. You're going to get 5 different answers, and 2 of them are going to agree with each other, but not how they got to that answer. But that's fine because those 5 answers are all valuable because I might not have thought about it the way Terry thought about it, and it changes how
Which is why, like a week ago, when you were busy traveling or whatever you're doing, we were talking about that SEO. In a way, we got to classify as an art form or as a craft. You know what I mean? Because there's no 2 of us that do it the same way.
Yep.
I mean,
it's
I do
more of an art than a science.
Yes, exactly, dude. I do audits.
More of an art.
I've worked with Alan Blayway on projects, and we both do audits, but his are totally. And I've seen his work, and he's seen mine, and we both approach that problem in different ways. So it's the end goal that matters, but I think it's almost a craft and an art form because we all approach it in different ways, man. This is not like there's only one way to change a tire. Like, you know, this is SEO seems to be an art form and a craft, you know.
Learned that in chef. You can give 5 chefs the same recipe. But all of it could all taste differently. It's the taste buds of the chef that make the difference.
There you go.
All right, my fault. Too many analogies. Let's pull it back.
That's one I know because I was a chef for 10 years. So.
I don't know. I think half of our industry, and Dave, you said like what new thing are we outraged about? Is it's like people ask me all the time, why don't you tweet? Why don't you blog? Why don't you say things? And I'm like, half the time it's because I'm too busy and don't have time to tell you what I'm thinking about. And the other thing is that when you say something incorrectly, everybody like, if you say something that people disagree with, that becomes more of the issue than the conversation of what you're disagreeing. It's like, oh, can you believe so-and-so said this?
Yeah, but sometimes it can go the other way, dude. I've said things in the past, and you know, if it's me going back and looking at it 5 years later, if it's in the moment, someone can say something that makes me rethink my own position. right? And say, okay, well, maybe they got a point there. I'll go look into that. You know what I mean? You can't be too big to admit when you might have missed the mark.
Oh no, that's not what it
Better
is.
do better.
I miss the mark
saying-
often. I just try not to do it in public.
Yeah, but again, I don't mind going out there and being, you know, a front-facing person in the industry because, you know, all it does is help me learn.
Yep.
And that's something that's been around since the start of this. You know,
Yep.
it's not like it's gotten bigger and there's more SEOs and marketers, etc. It's always been that way. And, you know, because of the fact that we do come with different preconceived ideas, different knowledge bases and things like that, experience in different niches. So yeah, we're always going to have a certain area where either we come to the same, you know, to the same result with different methodologies, or we come to slightly different results, but they're both successful. Yeah, I mean, it's always been, that's the nature of this.
Well,
beast.
that's where we all met, most of us, is the forum days where we used to go
Yeah,
bang each
yeah.
other, used to go butt heads out in the forums and stuff, you know?
Exactly. The fun days.
Yeah, but it isn't like it is on Twitter. That's just nonsense. I shut the thing off.
Yeah,
years
I
ago.
No, but not even Twitter, even the Facebook groups and everything else we do, you know, it's, but I think that's a good thing because back in the day, there was a handful of us. I mean, now there's thousands upon thousands of us. you
No
know?
one knew what SEO was. They're like senior executive officer.
Well, you know, I think
No,
that-
it stands for search engine opportunist.
Yeah.
I think
There you
something
go.
else that we tend to forget sometimes when I'll see somebody ask a rather elementary question in their Facebook group, and we tend to forget that at one point in time, that was a question we might have asked. We didn't understand that. You know, there's noobs out there. Some of them are trying to sell their wares when they can't spell SEO yet, but some of them are actually making honest efforts to learn, and we're all at different levels of knowledge. You know, so I try not to get too impatient with people that are asking really first grade
Thoughtful
questions
question. Yeah.
because they've got to learn.
yeah.
Okay.
I moderated a panel at SES with a bunch of people, Marcus Tandler and a bunch of other people. And I'm saying, we just did questions from the audience. And I started it with saying, there's no such thing as a stupid question.
Exactly.
And the first person that asked the question, Marcus
That's a
Tandler
stupid
goes,
question.
yeah, sorry, that is a stupid question.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I adopt the adage, don't be afraid to learn in public. And like Kevin just said, he saw me at Tech SEO Boost, and that was magical and absolutely nerve-wracking. And I kind of joked to myself, it's me like, I've gotten at least 5 things wrong in this deck. See if you can spot them. But I'm gonna learn if someone goes, hey, you're actually wrong about that.
Oh,
Kinda
I have a lot of my old decks, and I look at them going, damn, I got away with that.
right?
We're just like, where did I get that information from?
You gotta take screenshots and like cite every source and keep a copy because Google will change documentation frequently. And you're like, no, it was there. I promise, not seeing things.
Oh, that's my favorite when you're editing a deck the night or day before, and I'm like, wait a second, where'd that go?
They
That-
just
They just changed something. Like, I don't want to add that. If I put that in my deck, then I have to create 6 more things. Like, oh,
Like that's a new caveat. That's a layer of complexity that my
Yes.
deck was due 4 days ago. Has anybody actually ever made their deadline? Just out of curiosity.
No.
yes, but only by
Like,
cheating.
time?
By giving the same deck I had before. Like, that's not.
Well, I
Yeah,
didn't.
they're getting rather tough.
But that was little. Like, I made a change to when I just did PubCon Austin. It was the same deck that I did in Vegas, but it was a different group.
SMX kind of hankered on down after SEO Fight Club. So you've got to get your stuff into them ahead of time. Although if you ever have an opportunity to do a talk with someone on the Google team, they're known for they give it the day of. And then there's also the leverage of they're from Google, and most of the events very much want their deck regardless of when they get it.
Yeah.
Well, the old days, you handed them in early because they put the PowerPoint into the handbook.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, it had those handbooks that were really good. I've got a pile of those. And every now and again, I go through and go like, wow, I remember those days. And then other times I go, I wonder if this is still relevant. So, you know,
I also always make the deadline, but I learned because I'm a newer speaker in the last 2 years, and my friends told me like, hey, just get your deck uploaded, and then as long as you have the current copy when you get there, then you're fine. So like you got something, maybe I changed the order. So that hasn't been that bad, except when I do remember standing on stage and looking down and going, well, I'm looking at the wrong version than I thought I had, and these are in none of the text has changed, none of the content has changed. Bill might have been you might have been in the audience when I was like, oh, this wasn't, and I said it out loud, like this wasn't supposed to be here. We'll move on.
Yep. Lived that one.
Did Dave leave us?
I think I saw you speak, Kevin. Where were you at last?
The pub cons.
Okay, someone's got to deal with the
Austin.
Facebook comments here, so I'm just busy trying to answer people. You know. I got Paisley help me with the on-site screen stuff, and I'm busy answering questions.
I'm just checking in, and Jamie, I just saw you at Tech SEO Boost this year as well, and I couldn't place you, and that's what I thought we were friends on Facebook, and you were like, nope, I'm not on Facebook, and I was like, oh, shit.
Oh yes, okay.
That's our interaction, but we met at Tech SEO Boost prior to that, the year before. It's the blue hair that is memorable as well.
It's my Bob Ross. You can spot me easy in a crowd, but super disadvantaged because I can't recognize people from Twitter very well.
You're not on Facebook?
Jamie, after the session, get a hold of me. I'll help you with the branding, because if all you're known is for the blue hair, we got issues.
That's not all she's known for.
Oh, you said that's the most memorable part, so I don't know.
Of meeting her in
it does
person
the heavy lifting for my personality. It's
there you go.
self-deprecating humor.
I keep dyeing my hair and nothing changes, so it just keeps sliding.
Oh, Steve, oh, look at that. That's awesome, bro. Well, as you know, Kevin, obviously it's my local knowledge that markets me. So.
Yes, we come when I need a local client that I can't deal with that's not automotive, I send him your way every time.
Oh, yours is in a picture.
You want to say hi?
Put Steve back up.
Terry, did you just realize that was his phone and that was real? That's what happened.
Yeah, I just realized Kevin's is real when that person walked by.
Look.
Oh, my background? Yeah, that's my office. Yeah,
I thought it was like Dave, just green screen, right? Then someone walked by, I had to give it a double take.
No, see, I Terry, last time a couple weeks ago when Kevin got up and left, I grabbed a screenshot of his desk. So yeah, I could see his desk too with my green screen. So
yes. That's why, mental note, if you're on this panel, as Dave said, don't get up.
You never leave your seat, because we're screenshotting that, and I'll be sitting in your office next week.
If you get up, turn your camera off. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, Jamie, we got a habit of doing that around here. Like Doc's got my living room.
and you have my bedroom.
I have your bedroom. I have Kevin's. Yeah.
Office, thank God.
Bill never gets up too far. He always just leans over to get a slice of his pizza or something. That's all.
Now it's a fun challenge.
And you,
like
Jamie,
cardboard cutout.
Jamie, last time I hung out with you, you were in a very cold-looking environment. So.
Yes, I was in one of the private phone rooms in a large corporation.
That did not look good. So yeah, good to see some life behind you.
I miss the private phone booths in large corporations where they're like, "This is your conference room." I'm like, that's a closet.
Really? Like, do they think that's gonna help, Frank? Like you got this Tamaz empty room and they put a smiley balloon like it's gonna help. Okay. I'm getting a bit of Orwellian feelings here. Okay.
Did you see the picture of Zuckerberg walking by everyone with VR headsets on? Because that is next level dystopian.
No, I just, there was that old Disney movie, whatever, where everyone was just big and fat because no one walked around or did anything anymore.
Wally.
It's Wally.
That sounds
that has stuck with me forever because I got a feeling for
that. Steve, what's your new client's name?
Which one? Client?
The one that you're holding right now.
We're on the air right now. Ask him that once the session's over.
No. Ask what is his name? Come on, tell him. You know what his name is.
Oh, I know what his name is. It's easy, dude. I've known you for like 12. Oh, dude. See, does anybody know his? Hold on. Does anybody know his Twitter handle? his DJ Twitter handle, not his, Does anyone know Steve's?
I've got it in there somewhere.
See, yeah, Bill's nodding. He knows. He's not going to give me
Paisley.
an answer. There you go.
SEO DJ Wednesday.
There
Paisley.
you go. There you go. That's Paisley. He
That's
named
it.
it after his handle.
This is
I
Paisley.
did not name my kids the
Oh,
Gypsy,
wow.
and that's probably a good thing.
What's the
Oh,
matter?
speaking of my nickname, the Gypsy, from the forums all those years, boys. Steve, this will be more interesting to you. Microsoft took away my gamer tag.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
Why?
Yeah. For those
Oh,
who
you-
don't know, a gamer tag is your username on Xbox.
Or-
Dude, so I went and checked it out. I was like, thought it was a weird anomaly or whatever. No, it turns out it was taken away from me because it is a racial slur. And so I literally went to Google and put is gypsy a racial slur? And apparently, yes, these days gypsy is considered a racial slur.
They took away the gypsy.
Yep.
I'm still Xbox Clan on every game imaginable, and they gonna do that? I don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Barely. Yeah, it's a racial
Do you
slur.
spell clan with a K?
Only if you live in the South.
No.
Well, Steve lives in Texas. That's close
Hey,
enough.
hey,
Close enough, yeah.
Hey,
Well, no,
so does
Terry,
Kevin.
Terry,
So
that would
let's
have to be
back up.
Terry, that'd have to be kick-ass corporate client, all with K's.
Believe it or not, most people in Texas are not racist like the rest of the South. That's what I'm gonna say.
Did Microsoft?
That's a fact.
Scooting us
Sorry.
back to like an
Yeah.
actual conversation. Did Microsoft tell you, Dave, or did you have to figure it out?
Oh no, did not tell me. I had to go log in on the website and everything else.
But like when you
Meaning-
logged in, did it tell you have to
Yeah,
pick
yeah,
a new
yeah.
username?
I went there and it gave me the reasons why the.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Like it was a
Okay.
canned response. It wasn't a human being or anything, but
Right. You flagged something. Yeah, it's the
yeah.
same way that.
So
everything-
basically, somebody in Romania or wherever took offense to it, or just
How
wanted to
many
fuck with
years
me.
have you had that?
About 10, 12 years.
On
Oh, longer than
no,
that, Dave.
on the Xbox day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No,
Oh,
on the
okay.
internet, I've had that forever. That was my
okay.
nick. I went to three
the
different
forums.
I went to 3 public schools and 4 different high schools for different reasons. So that's actually a name from the Gypsy was a name from my youth. And so then when I got in the forums, same thing. I didn't stay at Create a Site. I didn't stay at, wherever. I went to all the different forums. That's why I met so many people. So the name the Gypsy just seemed to be apropos. And so I used it as a forum name there too. But it actually comes from my youth because I went to so many schools. So yeah, I've had that nickname my whole life. And so, Twitter, I'm / a Gypsy. But yeah, Xbox, I guess someone had something to say about it. And so right away I Googled it and
It's odd that. It's not odd that is offensive. It's odd that there are so many other
other offensive
toxic
names. Yeah.
names within
Yeah.
self-created spaces.
Well, you and I have hung out, bro. How could I possibly ever offend anyone on Xbox?
Well, it's
Yeah,
just
but
if you
it's-
was a human, it was a assignment to the value of that simple term. Yeah.
No, again, I'm just
That was
not
a
into
rhetorical question, right, Dave? I don't actually have to answer that.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Hey, on YouTube, it only takes one complaint and they pull your whole video.
Well,
off,
no,
so
there's
that-
actually a whole business around that right now. People false copywriting claiming because they're essentially how SEOs abuse the organic SERPs. There are people on YouTube that abuse the systems and algorithms in place there.
Probably
it's a whole fucking
SEOs.
business. I doubt it's corporations that have just figured out YouTube. It's a bit of a different world over there. So, but yeah, the copyright claim shit's out of hand over there. So whatever. Yeah, but
That's good to
rank
know.
you,
And you can
just
get some
complain.
competitors out of YouTube.
Oh, there's a lot of it going around. There's a collective writing group called SCP, and they do these little bit of paranormal stories. It's an entire universe with thousands of contributors. And someone, I believe in Russia, has been making copyright claims to components that they use.
yeah, it's very easy because unfortunately they haven't put a lot into that system. And so copyright claim stuff's really neat because what you can do is you can not let's say Jamie, you put up some videos, right? And you grab some sort of what's called royalty free music and you use it as background from here and there. Now I can go claim your video on copyright saying that I own that music, but allow you to keep publishing it and allowing YouTube to keep putting ads on it. I get the revenue, not you. That's how the scam works, basically, right?
Oh, wow.
And there's a whole industry behind this, and it's more prevalent in like video gamers and stuff like that. It's not obviously in industry stuff, but it's very prevalent, and it's, again, it's out of hand because Google's ability to judge that kind of stuff, kind of like the GMB stuff, is not very good. They don't have good algorithms for that, and so it's become this real blight on the YouTube world, and it's kind of neat. But
Yeah,
speaking of YouTube, I would love to have some of the analytics in Google Analytics that I have on YouTube, like the engagement data, right? You look at the engagement data on YouTube, you know, Bill, you probably dug into that because you put up videos out and stuff, and you can see percentages watched. And it's an interesting thing because engagement, positive or negative, doesn't matter, right? You could have a thumbs down or a thumbs up, doesn't matter. Someone engaged with your video, that matters to the algorithm. You can have comments, you can have percentage watched, right? So there's always this dichotomy with YouTubers, is because you need a 10-minute video, like you watch, check some channels that you follow. And if that video is 10 minutes, 34 seconds, there's a reason for that, because you can't get max advertising dollars until you hit 10 minutes. And so, but you also watch engagement numbers. Is it 34% watched? Is it 50% watched? Is it 70? That's going to bring it up more in the side panel where they say, hey, watch this, your recommended stuff. That's going to come back in searches. So it's a really interesting beast on YouTube, and how, you know, the engineers and Googlers treat YouTube compared to the normal SERP. And the analytics that I get. The analytics, I would love to see that shit, time on page and this and that, and all the implicit user feedback. Imagine that, Bill. Like, if you got that kind of implicit user feedback on your pages in Google Analytics, is like you do on YouTube.
Did you plug in your GA account with your YouTube account?
Your what?
Did you plug in YouTube into your GA account?
Yeah. No, I got like 4 channels, dude. That's all plugged in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been trying. I've been wanting to do the same thing. I'm got a gamer channel who's got a significant amount of following that I think I'm going to start working with him.
What is significant?
250,000.
That's not bad. So yeah, dude.
But I might start working with him pro bono just to start learning more about YouTube's algorithm and the way that works.
Like your baseline just for like followers before even worrying about engagement is about 10%. So if he's getting 25 grand on his most recent video out of 250,000, that's your baseline. You mean, and then from there, dude, it's video length. Like, the problem is like a show like this is gonna have 1 hour and a half. It's not going to do well because you're only going to get people that only watch.
Total time is also a big factor.
Well, no, because it's percentage watched, right?
Okay. Yeah, percentage. No, exactly. If they watch 30 minutes, it's still only 30% versus.
Yeah.
Okay, these shows, dude, are actually worse. The average around 19 minutes or the hour and a half.
And the 10-minute is the full advertising buck, and I was wrong. He's got 380,000 subscribers.
Yeah, so dude, that's why I do the shorts. Like, I'll cut out the most interesting parts of these and put it into less than 10-minute segments, because I know as a channel, as a broad whole, that starts to build from the inside, because they're getting a higher percentage watch if you keep to 5 minutes or so. But yeah, again, like anything else, you experiment with it. So
hey, Kevin, one of my startups is Gamers, like a concept. I own gamers.tv. And so we should talk offline. Give me a holler or something. Let's go eat some food or something.
Yeah,
dude, definitely. I got GTA videos with a couple 100,000 views that totally blow the water out of my SEO shit. So,
hey, nice. Steve, I have actual gamer products from back in the day still in the package.
But this is just it goes back to what we were saying before. Like, I don't know YouTube, but I'd like to know YouTube. So I'm taking it upon myself to learn more about YouTube.
First channel I did has had 41 million downloads the last time I looked. It was a music channel for musical instruments.
Dude, I tell you, just get them to add you as an admin, like you would anything else in Google, and just go look at the analytics.
Right.
That's all you'll need to know, because the analytics kind of tell you what they are interested in and what they want and what they're looking for. Like, because the analytics in YouTube is so different from Google Analytics, it's crazy.
Yep, we'll see.
Well, folks, I've got to jump.
All right,
to see you, Frank.
I'll try and get back more regularly.
Yeah, dude, it's been a while. It's
Yeah.
good to see you.
No, I know.
Always good to see you, Frank.
Jump around. Yeah, definitely, guys.
Yeah,
Have a
same.
great weekend.
Send me an invite next time. I'll be happy to participate because I don't have meetings on this time.
Oh, we missed the hell out of you, bro. It's been a while, dude. That's
Yeah.
why when I saw you on Twitter today, I was like, that's pretty exciting, man.
Yeah, well, it's just that then the phone call I got is I'm working contract for somebody and they're going to extend my contract 3 more months, trying to get the permanent gig going, but they're doing it under contract and it's good money. So I'll sit there and I'll play with it all day long. But yeah, it's one of those things of, I've got so many different clients that I do stuff for, but this is the big monster that's like the permanent job, that kind of contract. So yeah.
Nice, man. You're one of the pure geeks I know, man. You don't believe anything. You just see what you see in front of you in the data, and you've always been great that way, man.
Well,
You proved yourself.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. But the cool part is the client that I have has, almost 800 locations, and they're in Canada and in.
I love that juggling act, though, right, Terry? It was like the whirlpools. I mean, they had 300 different locations in 3 different, states. What was it? Canada, States, and UK.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's such a fun juggling act, man. It's a challenge. It's, it gets you excited, gets the blood flowing.
Plus, right now, Google My Business is only in English. Well, I have a brand of stores in Quebec. This has to be en français. It has to be all French. So guess what? They don't write stuff in French.
I was gonna say, dude, here's your first hint. Parisian French and Quebecois French are 2 different animals.
Totally different.
Gotta know that. Like in France, you'd say un sac de pommes de terre, which is a bag of potatoes. In Quebec, you say un sac de patate. Right. So yeah, you're gonna have don't even look at Parisian French to try and figure that out. You got to know Quebec French. Because
it's a financial services company with compliance, you have to do everything in English and in French. So we have a translator on staff to where I just have to write it in English, get it over to her so they can write it in French so we can put the website in French and English.
Yeah, but like I said, make sure she understands Quebec French, not Parisian.
She's from Quebec. So
yeah, it's in Montreal.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, exactly. It works perfectly.
Where all the pricks hang out.
Not all of us.
Hey, I won't say anything more. Other than they should put a fence up between Ontario and Quebec.
I think Quebec's trying to leave.
Let him go.
That's my favorite thing is where are you going to go? The U.S. won't deal with you.
I tell you what, Terry, we got a guy down here we can send you. He knows walls better than anybody knows walls.
Yeah.
Well, the great thing, Doc, is last time we had a referendum on if Quebec was going to separate from Canada, all the noopies got real excited. Because they heard that Quebec was leaving fucking Canada. They figured it's an hour and a half less time to get to Toronto.
Sorry, it took me a little while to get that. But yeah, it's interesting just the way Google My Business works in different countries and different stuff and all the different things that Google My Business have that until you sit there and work on it, they open stuff up to you. If you do a certain amount of things, you get beta tests. I have a beta service, and Kevin knows exactly what I'm talking about because he did products. So there was beta stuff in products that there wasn't available, 6 months ago that is now. There's all kinds of neat stuff. It's fun to figure out. That's all I got to say.
Seems like they're sure missing the boat, though, Steve, that it's only available in English. God.
I think that's one. The other thing is everything. If you've got over 500 locations, you can't do shit, and that API is not available. You have to go through somebody through Yext, or I forget who the other vendor is, in order to get to where you can do multiple things on it. Hootsuite just now got to where you could do reviews, and that's up to 500 people. So if you have 50 locations, you can do your reviews in Hootsuite. But if you have 500 locations, you can't do your reviews in Hootsuite. And so Hootsuite actually is focusing on Google My Business, probably because I've been working with them to fix what they're, easiest way to fix your software is get me as a client, and I'm going to sit there and pick and poke and prod and make it work. So
tell you how to make it better.
Yeah, well, I mean, it works great for Facebook, it works great for Twitter, but as far as Google My Business, doesn't do shit. Posting onesie twosies on Google My Business with posts does nothing. Not showing me the views does nothing. If I can't, I can't sort reviews by chronological fashion, that means I have to go store by store. If I've got 100 stores, I may have to scroll through 8 of them to get to where somebody commented in the last 4 weeks, which is where my cutoff is. So, I want to go reply to a review, but I don't want to go 10 weeks back. So, having chronological sort on a review thing is a pretty good thing. Questions is the same thing. If I have to scroll through 100 locations to get to location 70 to answer the question that was asked yesterday, it's not going to do me any good to do that every day. It's a time hole. So
You
got to automate it.
Well, they got it to where I can sort chronologically, because that's the way people does stuff. That's the way you reply back to stuff. You don't want to go look at all 100 stores and go, oh, does this have any reviews? Does this have any questions? No, click back. I'm not going to do that every day.
Right.
Steve, do you not get notified when those questions go, and then you can respond to them?
I do, but I created what's called a knowledge base.
Yeah.
Basically how someone should respond and train people on how to respond to that shit.
I got you. You get the notification. They don't get the notification.
Yeah, they don't get the notification. They have to go in and look at the dashboard on Google. On Google My Business now, if it shows 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, a day ago, a week ago, a month ago, and it's chronologically sorted by the most recent is at top. So the minute you log into Google My Business and hit reviews with 100 locations, or just if you got 500 locations, make a different group, make one with 496, and you can see all 496. You just have to look at 2 groups. Make sense? That's the way.
Yeah, no, I got you.
But the reviews are sorted chronologically, so I can go, okay, I'm not going to respond to any of these reviews that are over 4 weeks old. I go 4 weeks and go forward. Well, the nice reviews, thank you for the 5 stars, thank you for your 5 stars, thank you for your kind word, thank you for this. But the negative reviews, they actually have to go in and document this shit, because hey, I went to your location and my father was hearing impaired, and the person there treated them harshly and wouldn't speak up. Okay, that's an ADA fake lawsuit scam waiting to happen. If you reply back to that saying, we're sorry, we did this, that's now going to show up in a court case where you get sued and have to pay $10,000 for lawyers. You know what I'm talking about?
I know on that. I don't have it on the scale of the, I was laughing at Terry.
Winding him up.
Yes. No, and I haven't thought about it because I don't have I'm in a different situation with my clients where I have one location, one dealer, or 3 locations for one dealer, not the 500 for one location or for one client. And I can see that being an issue. It's just the functionality. I think it's coming. It's just one of those. I wish that the GMB team would. I've talked to Gary. I mostly just talked to Gary about it, but there's no face of the GMB team. We don't have access to them. They don't. They've just recently outsourced it to somebody else. Anyway.
Do you see the guys on Twitter though?
Yeah, I use them, and those guys are good, but the response time. Yeah, the response time sometimes has been a little bit of a pain in the butt. Like it took weeks to get stuff done.
Yeah.
And just the timing. But other than that, it would be nice if we have faces of the main side of Google. It would be nice if we had product faces where you could just. I would love to just go to a GMB seminar. I'd go travel to them if I could pick the brain of some of the GMB engineers.
Oh, if I could do, I could.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I forgot we're talking about local again. Why? You guys want your own show? I'll get you your own fucking show. All right? Seriously.
They do
it.
Right,
we missed you.
Yeah.
You and Steve are about the same color, but his is his shirt.
All right. So question. Jamie, do you do audits?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm focused more on the technical aspect than.
All right, so
in-
we got a sort of a specific session coming up shortly, and Annie Cushing was going to come for the walk, but she got her own personal problems. So, would you be interested? I think it's March 5th, Bill. Yeah.
Yeah, that should work.
All right, I'll get all of you. I'll send you a DM and stuff, so that'd be fun.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was talking to Annie, but
painting and permissions and critical rendering path. I am so in.
All right, so I don't know, Kevin, you talked about speaking lately. Obviously, Jamie, you do a lot of it. I don't do any of it. So my brother here, Caden, I just got to keep doing this to you. He's literally 20 years old. He started doing this stuff in high school, so he's actually 3 years in at 20 years old. Yep, still going to university and doing this thing in college. So he missed his class this morning to come talk to me, but okay. So that's my next thing is when you guys are speaking, I know to a degree it's about like getting clients and stuff like that, but do you guys also speak to try and bring up the next generation? Like, you know what I mean? Like I spent time with Caden here because he's a really smart cookie and he's only 20 and he's someone I see as being part of that future of the industry when I'm dead and gone. So I guess my question is those of you guys that are speaking, is it or I guess even Bill, writing like you and I do, is there any, like for me, I don't care. Like I always get clients. I always find work. I always find a way to make money.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing what I do for the industry, I'm doing it because of guys like Caden. If 1,000 of them don't listen, but I can find one or two that I can make part of this thing when I'm gone. That's kind of why I do it. So I guess that's my question. Does anyone else do this stuff if it's writing or conferences?
We need rendering in the vocab. Google cannot index what it cannot render, and with the prolific use of JavaScript, it's a huge problem. And I've collaborated with a lot of teams where their initial ideas involved, modifying the CMS, adding this new piece in. It's like it doesn't render, it doesn't exist. And if it doesn't exist, it can't be indexed. So getting that technical foundation back in the purview instead of everybody trying to optimize for EAT, making a persona of Dr. Fiona Fancy Pants.
I swear to God, dude, most of the good SEOs I know have some sort of background in development.
Yep.
I mean, like,
yeah, I mean, I do it. I don't speak to get clients because I haven't spoken as a non agency person. So like
You're a show pony.
I'm when I speak at automotive conferences, I'm there to get clients, but I'm speaking at SEO session, or I speak at PubCon and those to get to influence the way that I pitched it, and Brett seemed to agree, is that I've been to so many conferences as a attendee that I got annoyed with what some of the presentations I was seeing, and coming back to a different conference, like going to SES or something, and not seeing it for 2 years, seeing the same person present and get the exact, look at my Evernote notes that I was taking, and I was like, wait a second, I wrote the same thing down a year and a half ago or so. So I try to, with the exception of here and there, my decks are always different. My presentations are different. I try to give you new knowledge. And one of the coolest things for me was, I think, Digital Summit, back when I used to be in New York and working with Mike King at iPull Rank, and I was at Digital Summit, and one guy came up to me afterwards and he was like, well, I got this, and this from your session. And then I saw him a couple years later, and he was like, I used what I learned at your session to do this, and that. And I was like, cool, that's what I want. Like, if I can point you in the right direction, like I got from Jamie a lot of stuff. I said this before, but I did, because all of our sites are generated in JavaScript, which is so much fun.
And I love that kind of stuff. That history
I
stuff.
get that you take a nugget here and you go, oh, let me go learn on that. I need to figure this out.
Like, you gotta spark
I think at the end of the day, dude, it's almost that again, 20 years, I've had people over the years come back and say, hey, my wife and I got a kid, I got a great house, I got a career, they try to attribute it to you or whatever. Obviously, their hard work did it. But I love when someone, regardless of anything else, when someone comes back and says, I learned from what you gave and what you did and how you empowered me, gave me a life that I have now. I love that shit,
Because we don't have, there are universities, there are things, but we I look at the conferences as ways to network and ways to just bounce and learn more ideas. Like
so much.
Dude, I use you. I was talking to my Tanya the other day, and I used you as an example. I said when I first met Kevin, he was like, "Yeah, I've been following you guys for years," and a couple years later, he's telling me I'm a dickhead. That's the relationship. That's beautiful, man.
That's 10 years ago now.
Yeah, I know, man. But that's fun,
Yes.
Bill, I saw Bill was going to say something. He was trying, man. I know.
I say part of the reasons why I do presentations is because I learn a lot from them, from taking the time to put something together. From
absolutely, yeah.
Bouncing ideas off audiences. It's a chance to get feedback on things that I'm presenting too.
Oh, absolutely. And I did the same thing when I was teaching. I was having to do enough research to make sure that I was A, correct, and B, presenting things in an easily learned, easily understood fashion. I always learned something from preparing that stuff, things that I thought I already knew pretty well. Found out I didn't know nearly as well as I thought I did. There's always something new to learn,
Right. I taught a class at a community college on internet literacy in front of a bunch of school teachers. And I'd spend time in the lessons plan every week, knowing that they were going to have better questions than I had answers to.
Yeah.
So I had to prepare for those because they were coming at me.
That's a great class. They're listening. They're engaging. That's wonderful.
It makes it a good time. It's a chance because you're going to a conference, present to people who do that for a living, and they're familiar with the concepts. They're familiar with the ideas. They come to the conference because they want to be surrounded by people who are talking about search and SEO. And they want to talk to somebody about it.
And they bring some good questions.
Because nobody else in their life gets it. So people at the conference do.
Yeah.
That's also, there's a tradition of that sharing. That's how it's been from day one, as far as I remember.
News groups to forums and everything else. Totally different. We didn't even have blogs back then, man. We were all just bouncing ideas.
Oh yeah, I was probably doing SEO probably 7-8 years.
Snow both ways.
Hey, you got to optimize those flashing GIFs,
No, I used to love doing optimization until somebody picked up the phone in my house and it knocked me offline. No, I'm kidding.
Don't even start.
I'm joking. I'm just like, I have to go run the cable again. Okay.
I miss ICQ's clicking noises so much.
No, dude, every time to this day, like when someone uses that, I still cringe, you know what I mean? No, ICQ, oh my gosh.
My favorite thing was it would always translate into somebody in the house going, "I'm sorry," and it was like, "Oh man, I didn't even know I'm about to drop offline." Like you picked up the phone.
Caden, I didn't even think about it when you and I were talking earlier, Caden. I've been doing this 1 year longer than you've been alive.
Dave's really old. I mean, to be fair, Dave's really old. He's like 63.
Dave was doing it the night you were conceived, Gaden.
Yeah. Oh God.
I could say that.
But our recommendation, or my recommendation, is go to it. Like, if you have conferences in your area, or like I know I've said it. I swear, Paul is not giving me cred for Tech SEO Boost, but that's free. Like you can go on to search for that and you can watch all the videos. You can see Jamie present 2 years in a row. There's a lot of access to a lot of people, young, like newer speakers these days out there.
Alan actually introduced Jamie and I with the words, "I can't believe you've never met."
Yes.
That was, I was like, "Oh, who?" That's
I
not
didn't
blue
know
hair.
there
I
was
was
a
like,
name for what I was doing. I was like, no, I just dissect everything as it exists. And you're like, that's the thing I do.
Yeah, but you're kind of quiet today, surprisingly. But you're also a bit of a spaz like me, and you just kind of, get your face
energetic,
up.
chaotic, neutral.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, but Dave's definitely a spaz.
Oh yeah.
We don't just don't play video games with him.
Oh,
and alcohol. and
okay.
alcohol. No,
All
it's
right, all right.
Dave's
That's
fine
good.
until he's been
Anything
drinking.
mixed with alcohol
and-
is probably not a
There we
good
go.
situation.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm nostalgic for like an old school LAN party and some Unreal tournament, which is like when I dropped out of games.
Well,
So
it's not my.
everything now,
It's
it went
really
from
not my
UTV.
fault that he sucked at hockey. I'm sorry. I just got a little chirpy. You know.
No, it wasn't chirpy with me. It's like going to it's like if you were at a bar and one of your friends mouths off to people that you don't know, and you make that decision right then and there that you're like, well, I don't really have my friends back right now. like Dave, if you could just shut up, like that was the most fun. It was like there's 10 people in this group and like he's attacking 8 of them, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna
Leave.
oh look, I got disconnected. Sorry.
I know, someone picked up
I'm
the
not there
phone.
anymore.
Somebody picked up the phone. Yeah.
Exactly. Like Dave, because he would turn around and then be like, Kev, you're with me. And I'm like, whoa, back up a second.
I don't even know you.
Right. Why did we fight with that guy? Like, no.
Can we just go back to bashing Terry or someone now?
We'll go back to local here.
Yeah, no, okay, no, keep bashing me. I won't go fucking local again. Jesus.
All right,
Hey,
hey, guys, thanks for the invite, Terry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, we kind of do them every week or 2 weeks at this point, depending on how much shit I'm up to. But I'll definitely keep you in the loop from now on. Good to see you, man. Miss you.
Yeah.
See you,
God
Plunkett.
bless everybody. Take care.
Good to
got
see you,
your
Steve. Congrats
email
on the
now.
baby, man.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
I
Grab
got
lunch
your
around
email
here.
and I'll send you something
Yeah.
about that other thing.
Okay. Peace out.
Yep. See you. Hey, Dave.